Hey guys, welcome back to robotics. Today I'm excited. We're going to finally start experimenting with motors. So we've covered a lot of ground in the class so far in terms of breadboarding, in terms of LEDs. So learning about circuits and how all the electricity flows. So now we're ready to see if we can use that electricity to make something move. So what I have here is a motor, and not just any motor, but a servo motor. So a couple things I want to point out here. This blue part, that's the body of the motor, the casing here. And then we have this white piece up top. That's the motor shaft. That's the part that's going to spin. And then over here we have the wires coming out. We have three colors: brown, red, and orange. So I'll explain what those are in a second. One thing to note here, you see the white part, the shaft is pretty small, so we're going to have to add something to it so that when it spins, we see in an exaggerated movement. Okay? That's called a motor coupling. Something like this. Looks like kind of like a propeller. So I'm going to go ahead and put mine on. So you might need to do this if yours is not on yet. So if you put it on here, kind of snaps on there, and then you can also pull it back off. So I want to show you, let's go ahead and fasten it. So if you put it on, snap it on, we can fasten it with this screw here. All right. Now when we do this, when we put the coupling on, two things happen. One is we get to see a exaggerated motion. You see it? So now when it spins, when we give it power, you'll actually be able to see it spin. But the downside is that you can actually break this thing. Okay? So if you gently turn with your fingers, you'll notice that, see, it's stuck. It's stuck there, and I won't be able to turn anymore. But if I can turn the other way, and then it's stuck again. Oh, there we go. So here, okay, it's stuck, and then I can go back the other way, and it's stuck. So it's really important that we don't push it beyond the limits. So if you notice the range of motion, basically from side to side, it's about half a circle, which is the same as 180 degrees. That's going to be important because once we start programming it, you can tell the motor to go to a specific place. Okay? Like if you want it to go halfway, it would be about 90 degrees. If you want to go all the way one way, it would be 180. All the way there, 0. Okay, so now I'll go a little deeper into that too as we get deeper into the lesson. So let's first go ahead and put this on, so that it doesn't pop off later. All right, and again, remember, you got to be careful when you're working with the propeller motor coupling thing, because if you give it any type of, use any strength, you could break the gears. If you look closely, you'll see there's gears in there. They're plastic, so if you turn hard enough, you can break those gears in there, and then your motor is not going to work anymore. All right, so be careful with the servo motor once the coupling is on. All right, so now let's go ahead and look at the whiteboard here to go over what a servo motor is. All right, let's take some notes here. So we're talking about servo motors. Okay. The first thing that we've established here is that they go from 0 degrees to 180 degrees, which is the same as half a circle. All right, so what we can do, explain it like this. This is about half a circle. Starts at 0 and it keeps going. When I get about halfway through, that's 90. And when I get all the way through to the other end of the circle, 180 degrees. Now what we can do is program the motor. If I want it to go here, you would tell the motor to go to 0 degrees. If I go to here, it says tell the motor to go to 90 degrees. If I want to turn to here, turn it to 180 degrees. Now you can also do all the ones in between too. Like if you want it halfway between 0 and 90, this would be like 45. Doing some simple math here. Now the halfway between 90 and 180, if you wanted to point to around here, it would be 135 degrees. So later on we're going to try to do an exercise so we can learn about angles and make sure, tell the motor to go to specific angles, okay? So we need to know it goes from 0 to 180. It does not go beyond. You can't do a 181. You can't do a 270 degrees, okay? It's not allowed. So that's not going to work. Only 0 to 180. So now think about what kind of things could you do with this 0 to 180 degree. What kind of robots could you make? That's something to think about. The example I always bring up is, let's see if I can draw that. I'm trying my best here, but imagine a car, and you have the windshield in front of the car, right? The windshield wiper goes back and forth, only half a circle. Okay, so it's always good to think about, well, if this motor only goes 180 or half a circle, what could we use it for? So one example is a windshield wiper. All right, moving on, what is the second thing that we wanted to point out? The second thing that we want to point out is that we got 3 wires on this, right? So we've got 3 wires. We've got red. We've got, oh, red's actually the middle one. And then we've got brown. I don't have brown color right now, but I'll use black for brown. Okay, imagine that's brown, and then we have this kind of orange color that, you know, I'm just going to go with this rainbow kind of color here. Okay, you guys get the point, all right? This was supposed to be orange, red, and brown. Okay, and actually, you know what, I'm going to get rid of these. It's a little bit confusing. All right, so 3 wires, orange, red, and brown. Here's how we connect it. Brown is going to be connected to G and D, or the minus. The red is going to be connected to 5V. And so we've always used these, right? Even when we're playing with the light, we had one side was the power, which was either 3V or 5V, and then the other side was the minus, which was the G and D. Now, what's this third one? This third one is going to go to the pin. All right? The pin is going to control what angle we're going to go to. So it's kind of like the we've talked about the nerve from the noggin or from the brain. That's going to that nerve, the pin, is going to control what angle the motor goes to. All right, so let's go ahead and do this. Here's my noggin. Okay. And I want to go ahead and connect to pin number 9. Now, what's nice about this, if you look closely, let me zoom in a little bit here. Okay, if you look closely here, you see I'm going to connect it to pin number 9. It matches the colors up perfectly because brown is to G and D, which is there. Red is to 5V, which is the same as the V row. And then the signal needs to go to the orange needs to go to the signal. Okay? So what's nice is that we don't need the breadboard right now. You can just plug it straight in. Now be careful. You want to make sure that brown is to the G row and orange is to the S row. All right? And then we're doing the pin number 9. All right. Here's my motor. And let's see if I can get some movement here. Let's get my code up. Okay. So at this point, we need to learn a few more new things in terms of how to get the servo motor going, but I'll show you how to do that. All right, so let's put our void setup and void loop, as always. So we always have those two, right? All right. Let's go ahead and set up pin mode 9 as an output, because pin 9 is going to be used to send an output to the motor to make it move. So we've got that set. The other thing we need to do, going up top, we're going to have to include the servo library. The way you do that is you do hashtag include, and then you have one of these guys, capital S, servo.h. So servo.h is a library where it has all the code to move the motor. But we have to say, look inside the servo library. So that's what this line 1 does right here. We didn't need it before because we weren't working with motors before. Okay? So we've got include servo. And now we have to create a servo motor object. You just go like this. You notice how it's capital S servo.h, right? So we're going to reference that library, the object in that library. So capital S servo. And I'm going to name this one motor 1. All right. So what I've done here is I'm saying I want to make a motor 1 object, or I'm going to make a servo object, and I'm going to name it motor 1. Now if I want to make it motor 2 or Ed motor, because my name is Ed, you could do that too. You know what? I'll just let's call it Ed motor. All right. If you're doing yours, you can put your name. It doesn't matter what you name it. Okay. So Ed motor. One note though, you can't, when you're making these the names, you can't do it like this. You can't start it with a number. Okay, just something to keep in mind. It has to start with a letter. All right, so servo.ed motor, then, or sorry, servo ed motor. Now what we're going to do is this. We're going to attach pin number 9 to the ed motor. Okay, so we have ed motor dot attach 9. So what we're saying is that my ed motor object, which is a servo motor, I want to attach pin number 9 because over here I've connected it to pin number 9. If I don't have this dot attach 9, it doesn't know how to connect. It doesn't know where ed motor is supposed to be connected. Okay. All right. Now, in my loop, let's say let's try to move it. I'm going to say edmotor dot write parenthesis 0. So notice it says write, not attach. So attach is what we do in the setup. We do it one time in the very beginning and say, I want to connect the nerve or pin number 9 to edmotor. Now that's done, in the loop I'm going to say, okay, now edmotor, now that you've been attached, go to angle 0 using the write command. All right, let's upload this and see what happens. And watch this coupling here. Okay. So I wrote something, but nothing seemed to happen. So that's interesting. Now let me see if I can feel what's going on here. So if I'm just touching it ever so gently, I can actually feel the little the coupling fighting me. The reason why is that it's actually, I think this is what's happening. It's actually at angle 0 already. So because it was already there, then you told it to go there, we didn't see it because it just basically began and started and ended at the same exact place. So that's why we didn't see it move. But the thing about servos is this, which is actually kind of neat. If you tell it to go to an angle, it will forever, as long as it's got power, stay at that angle. So if you try to move it, it's like, I'm trying to stay at 0. You know, get off me, stop touching me, right? So I can actually feel that happening. So because of that, I think my code actually worked. So it's trying to maintain angle 0 now. So to verify that, let's go ahead and let's do another angle. I'm going to do 180. Because remember, you can go 0 to 180, so then this thing should turn half a circle. Let's go ahead and do that. Upload. There we go. See? Now it turned. And then now it's at the other side. Okay, great. So now we know how to move, and you know, we could try 90, which would be in between the two. Let's upload this. All right, so that worked too. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and I would like to take this thing just another step. Let's make this a little bit more interesting. So I have a plate here. All right, I got my plate here. Now I want to put this motor kind of at the middle of my plate. All right. Now I have sticky foams. You should have some in your kits as well. So let's use a sticky foam here. Put it at the bottom. I'm going to peel this off. And then put it like that. Kind of in the middle. Doesn't need to be perfect. Okay, great. Now what I want to do is put like a pointer on this. And this is how eventually our robot arm is going to come to life, is that we're going to keep extending the coupling. So right now the coupling is kind of big, like a propeller, but let's make it even bigger. So I'm going to go with, what about a pencil? Let's try a pencil. All right, so this should work. Now I need to figure out how to put this on here. You could use a sticky foam, maybe another stick foam. You could also use some tape. You know what? I'll just use stick foam. How about that? So just stick one on there, like this. All right, and then that's sticky, and then I kind of go, boom. There. Not bad at all. All right, so things are getting a little bit more interesting, I think. So we've got this. Let's see what angle. I programmed 90. So I want you to go ahead and try this as well. So you get a plate, or even if this is a piece of paper, that's fine. Plate, something round is even better, but it doesn't need to be round. So let's go 0. I'm going to go angle 0. Okay, so that is angle 0 right now. So I'm going to turn it kind of like this. Okay. So if you have a piece of paper, then on that piece of paper, wherever you have your tip, you need a pointer, right? So right now my pointer is this, my pencil tip right here. It's like there. Let's mark it. So let's program 0, and then let's put a 0 there. All right. Now let's try 180 and see where it goes. It should be about half a circle. Let's see. Okay. Then it went about there, which was 180. Cool. So now I have my 0 to 180. Now if I put 90, it should go to about the middle. Let's see if I'm right. There we go. About right. About there. 90. Cool. So I have 0, 90, and 180. So I'm going to go ahead. So once you have that, once you have your 3 spots, let's write a program. Let's have it go from 0, wait 1 second, 90, wait 1 second, 180, wait 1 second, repeat. So going back to my code, I do 0, delay 1000 for wait. Then Edmotor 90, delay 1000. And then 180, delay 1000. Okay, here we go. Let's upload. Okay. Great. All right, so what if I wanted it to do that 0, 90, 180, back to 90, and then back to 0? What would we do? Well, I would just need going back to my code here, let's add another 90 then it should go 0, 90, 180, back to 90. All right. So kind of like a windshield wiper. Okay. Let me stop this for now. Just comment this guy out for now. All right. Good. So here are the challenges. What are the challenges this week? All right. challenge number 1. Okay, challenge number 1 is, you see how I did the 0, 90, and 180, where I programmed it there and then I made a tick mark? Go ahead and do that for 0. Let's do 0, 45, 90, 135, and 180. Okay, so you got to add the 45, and then you've also got to add the 135. 45 will be in between here, these two, and the 135 will be in between these two. All right. So then at that point, you would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different slots. All right. Challenge number 2 is program it to cycle in between 0, 45, 90, 135, and 180. All right, so just like I had it, mine went 0, 90, 180, and then back. Yours will go 0, 45, 90, 135, 180. All right? And I'll put parentheses, 1 second stop at each point. All right. And then the last one, challenge number 3, it's actually should be pretty easy, but you could play with it a little bit. Just make it move like a windshield wiper. All right? Back and forth. All right? And you can kind of play with that if you wanted to make it if you wanted to make it only wipe a part of the window, like just section, that's fine too. All right, just as long as it moves like a windshield wiper, any type of motion profile you want, that works. Okay, that's all we got now. So for now, so the next step after this would be to experiment more with the motors, add buttons to it, and then when we get comfortable with that, add a second motor, and all of a sudden things get really interesting when you have 2 motors going at the same time. All right, have fun, and talk to you later.